you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined by John in South Jersey, Mongrovian Mike, and Tony Justice, the greatest truck driver of all time. What's up, people?
What's up?
Okay, so today is a really special day for us. So those of us that listen to Busted Open, which is pretty much everybody in the wrestling world, we became aware of our guest tonight and just started calling in with these amazing takes on stuff. And we were sitting around going, man, maybe he has some time for us. Let's see if he's available to come on the show. So tonight we're going to be joined by Drake from LA, who is a very, very awesome Busted Open caller. And
my favorite caller.
Me too. And it's no shade on Mongrovian Mike, who's my second favorite caller.
He's muted. Why would he be? Why would he be?
He's my favorite caller too.
Oh.
Okay, fair enough. So let's dispense with the pleasantries and let's bring in Drake from LA. What's up, Drake? How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? What's up, everybody?
How's it going, brother?
What's up, Drake?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing very good, actually, to be on here with you guys, Nation's Corner. So I'm excited.
Man, I got to ask you, like, it's a crazy time in wrestling right now. There's so much content. There's so many great stories and characters. And I before we dive into all that, I kind of wanted to just get a little bit about your background. So what brought you to the Busted Open family?
So I've been listening to Busted Open since WrestleMania in LA. Here we're driving to night one, and so my dad had Busted Open on. They were at the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Busted Open WrestleMania party, and I was like, wow, do they just talk about wrestling? So I would listen, like, since then I would start like listening in the car on the way to school and stuff. And then it wasn't till just earlier this year when I started calling in, and I was really excited. I wanted to call in for a while, but I didn't know like what my dad was going to think or what my mom was going to think. And so I just brought it up to them. They were like, oh yeah, you should. And I was like, wait, really? And so then next morning, Monday, with Uncle Bully and Tommy, I called in, and since then it was great.
Awesome.
That's cool. Amazing. First, before we go any further, I have to give you credit because we've had a lot of guests on the show who don't know how to have a good setup and a good microphone. You are on point, my friend.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you.
The background, the mic is great. You're already way ahead of the game.
He's way ahead of me. I sound like crap, and I was on mute.
Yeah.
Very professional, this kid. I can't wait till he's Drake's take.
Yes.
Thank you. Drake's take.
Yeah.
On the way.
Yeah, let's all pitch to have Drake part of Busted Open 24/7 for sure.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Drake, I look forward to your calls every day, man. When they go to you, I know you're going to have a good point. You're going to have a precise point. You stay on point, and someone your age to have that good of a outlook on professional wrestling is amazing. So kudos to you, son.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's alarming sometimes to hear people call in and have no plan or no thought. Like, why did you call in? Like, and you've done an amazing job. I think it's very natural to get maybe starstruck when you start to talk to Hall of Famers and people like that. You never seem like that. You always have a very like calm demeanor, very respectful, of course, but very like, okay, I'm going to talk to these people like people, and they're going to give me some answers. And the vibe that we get from the host is that they appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so like surprisingly, my first time calling in with Dave, it was on a Thursday with Dave and Jonathan Hood, and I was like, got me more nervous than like usually like calling in with Uncle Bully or Uncle Mark. I think just because Dave he like runs the show and everything. So I think it was like a little more nerve-wracking to call in with him, but it went great. And so yeah, I've been really loving calling in.
Well, so who's doing it? Because that avoids one bad phone call that we always get during calling on the show. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're keeping the quality level really high.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what we like. It's like we at first the first time it's like, let's go to Drake from LA, and it was okay, it's a kid, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, this kid really absorbs and understands like what he's watching. You know, like he's not, whatever, not a fanboy or whatever. You were very mature in your wrestling knowledge and stuff, and I'm sure you've learned a ton more since listening to Busted Open, as we all do. I mean,
definitely.
When they talk about the Masters class, it's like every day is.
Yeah.
So who got you into wrestling? Who in the family was the first one that got you into wrestling?
So my dad's been watching since he was a little kid. And my brother would watch. I started watching WrestleMania 33. That was the first event that I watched. And so it was my brother and dad had been watching it. They had front row seats to Raw a couple months before that. Or a couple months after, actually. So I watched WrestleMania, and a couple months later, they had some front row seats to Raw, and so I was like locked in. And ever since then, I was like, oh, I want that to be me. I want to go. And so, yeah, I've been like locked in ever since.
Have you gone back on the network, on Peacock, and went to that? Have you gone to that Raw to see if you see your dad in the front row and everything?
So I haven't in like years, probably like 4 or 5 years. But I will occasionally, like if I went to a show and sat close or like something, I'll go back and watch those a bunch. But I haven't watched that one that my dad and brother were at in a few years. But now that you bring it up, I'm probably going to a little later.
It's always fun. You could go back on some ECW shows and see Uncle John down here taking Spike Dudley, knees and feet and other body parts to his face, catching them.
Yeah, it's a pastime of mine, Drake.
This guy is a legend. He's a legend, kid. He's an ECW original fan.
And by the way, I see the comments, dirty.
Uncle Mongrovian's drinking Gatorade too.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hey. Well, hey, we gotta do it up a bit.
I got vitamin water.
We gotta do a cheers to having Drake on. Okay. Nation's Corner. Welcome and
cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Welcome to the family. You're part of the crew. And we spell
like when you're here,
spells it.
Your family.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. It's great. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course, man.
Yeah, of course. So this group, like we came together early pandemic through Busted Open fandom and all that stuff too. So like we have like 25 people in the group that travel the country to going wrestling shows and just we get together on Zoom, we have a good time. And so yeah, Busted Open brought us all together too. And now you as well.
Yep.
Hey, there's Brooke. Welcome, Brooke. Okay, so let's dive into shameless plug. So let's dive into some actual wrestling. So speaking of WrestleMania, there's big news this week. There was a report that was supposedly confirmed that WrestleMania is moving. We don't know where yet, right? They're moving out of New Orleans. It might be going to a bunch of different possible locations. So Drake, I want to get your thoughts on how important is the location to you? Are you planning on going next year? And like, where do you think would be a good city?
Yeah, so I think obviously the rumors I think were Las Vegas. That's what they were talking about on Busted Open. It seemed locked for Las Vegas. Obviously it hasn't been confirmed. But I mean, For me, they've had New Orleans did 34 and 30 the WrestleManias, and Las Vegas just did last year. I didn't go. I don't know how I would feel about having back to back in the same spot. Las Vegas is closer to LA, so I don't know. We weren't making any plans of going to New Orleans, but I don't know if Las Vegas, like, it's all up in the air. Because we don't even know if it's in Las Vegas or like Mark and Denise were talking about this morning. Some other places like I think Nashville and Indianapolis. Were like Indianapolis was promised a WrestleMania, and so it's really up in the air. I think an ideal location. I would like to. I would like to see it in outside of the country. I heard reports that they could be outside of the country sometime soon. I would love to see it in London. I think like they did Money in the Bank a couple years ago. I think that could be awesome having a WrestleMania there or just anywhere out of the country. The only thing that I wouldn't love is Saudi Arabia because it seems like they seem to have an effect on sometimes how the shows are booked. And they're getting Royal Rumble this year. So I don't know. For me, it's just all up in the air right now. But I think an ideal spot would be London if they can make that happen.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You know, we were talking about it the other night, and London was something that came up too, and we listened to Sam Roberts did an emergency pod where that was his pick too, because the crowds in Europe are just off the charts. They're insane. So if you want to have a great product, it's going to sell out. You're going to have an amazing crowd. It's going to look and feel great on TV. So I agree with you. I think it'd be a great pick.
I'm with Uncle Bully, and that thriving metropolis of Sheboygan is my pick.
Yeah.
Is my pick. You haven't lived till you've done the weekend in Sheboygan.
What about Poughkeepsie?
My sister's in the live chat.
Oh,
And today is her birthday, by the way. So happy birthday.
Happy
man.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
No, we don't sing. Thank God.
Okay, so there's so much going on in the world right now. One of the things that I think we talk about a lot and we hear a lot about is the John Cena heel turn. And I said early on, my personal wish list was to see him do something with R-Truth. And here we are, right? So we're here tonight. He has a match. R-Truth has a match with John Cena tonight. So Drake, I want to get everybody's thoughts on this, but where are you landing with like how the heel turn has gone and where they're at so far?
So I don't think the matches have been too good. I think there's a part of it, like with Cody and Randy against Cena. I think there's a part of it that's like Cena can't do that much anymore, and now that he's a heel, like it's having tough ways, like finding him tough ways to win, like by cheating. And I think so far the only way has been like hitting him with the title or a low blow or like he hasn't even hit an AA to win yet in this heel run. I think tonight for R-Truth, I think he needs a definitive victory and I think some good heat could be just have him destroy R-Truth, like have him beat the crap out of R-Truth. I know Mark was saying this morning on Busted Open, what if R-Truth sneaks a win and then Cena destroys him? That would be an interesting way to go. I just don't think that you have to have Cena taking a loss now. I think giving him some actual like winning credibility would be good without cheating, because he is the champion and you need your champion to be somewhat good. So I think giving him some credibility, even though it's beating R-Truth, just destroying him, I think that would be great. And I've loved the promos, but at the end of the day, in wrestling, it's the wrestling match, and those have sucked for John Cena so far in his heel run. So I'm really hoping they can turn it around and maybe someone aligned with Cena other than Travis Scott. Maybe someone could align with Cena, and that could be a way to help him win. the matches.
So I want to get other people's thoughts as well, because I think that's very interesting. R-Truth has become like this legendary, just amazing entertainer in wrestling. Everything he does is incredible, but it's mostly comedic at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Now he's being faced with, okay, like John Cena was my hero. I don't know this guy. Like, this guy's pissing me off. Like, this is an angry R-Truth that we saw last night, right? So John, for you, when we're seeing this, is there a path where R-Truth has a very serious, hard-hitting match with John Cena, or do you see it ending some other way?
I could see it both ways, actually. If you go by his promo last night on SmackDown, you know, it was a very different R-Truth that we saw. This was, you know, R-Truth is always smiling, joking, dancing, you know, being very, very funny. We didn't see any of that last night. But you can tell he's conflicted because, yes, he doesn't know this John Cena. This is not his childhood hero. He has that crisis of conscience that is really going to hit when they're in the ring tonight. So I'm not 100% sure. But this I do know. Ron Killings is a national treasure, and we all failed when he went through a table. How do we allow John Cena to put R-Truth through a table? We failed, people. We have failed.
We also fail when we don't mafia kick the fan next to us chanting what when he's giving a great
well.
But you know, we can't get in trouble. You know, then it would be about us. So
and my last thought to what Drake was saying was, like I said on Zoom the other night, can we get to the part of the story where Travis Scott gets stomped into a greasy spot?
Yes!
The mat. Can we get to that part of the story? Can we kind of fast forward, turn a page or two to get to that part? Because that's the part I'm waiting for.
Yeah. Hey, Drake, let me ask you something. Do you think we all, because we all were very dissatisfied with the way 41 ended. Do you think we would have been a little bit more appeased and a little happier if Travis Scott would have got his receipt from Cody instead of a finish? Because this is something that bothers me a lot too. Like when someone like a Ricochet or you know, don't do the high flying, don't do your finisher moves. You're mad, fist flying, you know, kicking the nether region, whatever, something, right? What do you think?
Yeah, so I think definitely like why part of it maybe like I don't know, what if he gets a broken nose or something? That's a lot of money or something. I don't know, but I definitely would have been a lot more satisfied with like if he would have gotten his butt kicked, like if Cody would have destroyed him, like even just like a slap that like takes him down, like at least because a crossroads, it's a wrestling move, and that I get it. That's Cody's finisher, but it's always going to be a wrestling move. If you want to really sell that Travis Scott got his receipt, have Cody just smack him in the mouth, and I think maybe that's a way that Cena could. I think people would have been more satisfied if Cody smacked Travis in the mouth, and that's the way that he gets distracted. Cena hits the low blow, hits him with the title, whatever you want to do to get Cena the championship, but having him hit the crossroads, and that wasn't even like the way to get Cena the win. I don't know. I didn't love it.
Yeah. It was very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
We were all, you know, we know how everybody felt.
We weren't mesmerized by it.
So one of the other things that I personally am super excited about right now is the WWE/NXT partnership with TNA. We have been wrestling fans for a long time, and in bygone eras, you would never think to see these people working together. And when it started to become, okay, WWE sending people to Noah, Natty was just the NWA. These people were in Bloodsport. We've seen, and now the big TNA partnership. How have you been feeling about the TNA partnership so far?
I've loved it. Yeah, I think it's been great. I was at TNA a few weeks ago a couple times for Rebellion, and then TNA and Irvine the tapings, and it was really fun. It seems like those were my first ever TNA events to go to, and the energy was great. Like, especially for being one of like the lesser companies. I don't think you can even say that about them anymore. I think they've brought themselves up to the fact that they're with NXT. They're like right up there, and I would say maybe even they're almost up there with AEW to a point. But I think I've loved the partnership. I think it's been done pretty perfect so far, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night for Trick and Joe Hendry for the TNA title. I hope that's the main event because I think there's so many different ways that you could go with that, and there's so many different factors to think about, and maybe even Trick wins the title. So I've been loving it. I'm pretty excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think seeing Joe Hendry defend that TNA title for the first time on a WWE PLE, it's historic, it's awesome, but it also, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this too, because like we don't know how this is going to end. Is it going to end in a WWE superstar in Trick Williams holding that TNA title? Well, that would make a lot of TNA fans upset, right? So. Mm-hmm. And to your point, I guess whatever main events this show tomorrow night will be whatever the best story is going in. And I could see at least several of these matches claiming the best story going in. So, Mike, for you, like, where do you land on the TNA partnership right now?
I see a title switching over between the two companies, whether it's an NXT or a TNA, vice versa. Something happening, but I don't see it being a main title like that yet. I could see something like the tag titles. We just saw them retain the tag titles there. Maybe the women, maybe the tag titles could be on the line, or Sol Ruka defend one of those championships maybe. But the main titles, I don't see them going back and forth yet, but I'm not opposed to it because, like you said, if it whatever helps the storyline of it and makes it interesting. But I see it where, hey, we got to get more eyes on both products. So there's going to be a quid pro quo back and forth, and it's going great right now. But eventually we got to up it too. How they started with. Okay, there was a couple of minor back and forth with talent, and then it upped. Then it went up another rung, and then that then all of a sudden we started seeing Bafemi over there, Trick here. Joe Hendry's been ubiquitous between WWE every single show and NXT and TNA, so he's out of it. But the rest of them, Moose. Then you're finally getting the big dogs,
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be fun. And I'm kind of wondering, where's Ace Austin going to sign?
I don't know. So Tony, for you, like, we've seen in recent weeks, we've seen Julia and Roxanne Perez be called up to SmackDown and Raw respectively. So they're no longer NXT superstars. We see that there may be a fast track for some of the bigger stars coming in, right? So when I see Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordan Grace, they're both big stars. Like, they're both existing superstars before they came to NXT. So I sort of, when it comes to picking the winner, like, I could see Stephanie holding onto that title and being a cornerstone of NXT, but I could also see her losing the title to Jordan becoming that cornerstone and her moving up to the main roster. So it's a hard one to predict. Where's your thoughts on it?
Well, you're right about that. Jordan is not a pushover. She's definitely something that you can place in the driver's seat and carry your championship and be the cornerstone. Stephanie has done a great job with it. Stephanie is a sight. I mean, she's just got it all on TV. Her entrance, her look, everything. So Stephanie is going to be. She's huge now. She's going to be even bigger when she gets to the main roster, I think. And I think that now that Julia is there, Julia and Stephanie kind of came in at the same time. So I don't think it's a far-gone conclusion that Stephanie will be right behind her joining the main roster soon. But the pipeline that NXT has, making stars, especially in the women's division, when someone gets called up, like Roxanne Perez or whatever, you're going to have someone down below that's coming up that's going to take that spotlight and run with it. And as we see on LFG, women there are just as great to be able to come up and take some spotlight as well. And I'm speaking of Xena Sterling. I can't wait to see her on NXT. She may not have won LFG, but she's definitely got something. So whatever they're doing over there in NXT, it's working. The pipeline is working. They're making future stars down there. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Drake, for you, who wins that match, Stephanie or Jordan?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this earlier, and it's a really tough decision because you got Jordan, who I don't really I wouldn't like to see her getting beat this early. But then again, it's Stephanie Valquer, and I think she might need a little longer with the title. So it's really up in the air for me. I gotta go with Jordan Grace, for I think the reason of Stephanie Valquer being called up, I don't think immediately, but I think like Steven said in the chat, she might come up after SummerSlam, and I think maybe a little break before coming up to the main roster, I think could be good for Stephanie. And so I do have to go with Jordan Grace in that match for the NXT Women's title.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's a great call. And so, Tony, you said something that sort of made me think, like, we're talking about LFG and like the reality of that, understanding that LFG is a reality show. It's a competition show, but it's also very real from the perspective that these men and women are real people competing for a real spot on the roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to throw this out, 'cause now that Drake's here, this would be a good one for you. So like, and John especially, because John and I have had some very late night conversations about reality in wrestling. Like how real do you want your wrestling? Do you want to know that people hate each other? Do you want to know that they don't hate each other, but they put on good work on TV? Like, where's your level of, we don't want people getting hurt. We don't want anybody getting hurt on, in the ring. Obviously, people have to be professional, but there's something to be said about your Seth Rollins and your CM Punk feuds and stuff like that, where the people genuinely hate each other or at least dislike each other enough to tell a good story. So, John, I want to start with you. What are your thoughts as far as reality in wrestling today?
I think if it lends to the story, it lends to developing a good story or keeping a story going. Absolutely. Because especially in this day and age with instant, notifications on social media and people basically spending all their waking hours just trying to dig up information of any kind on people. It's one of the things we all know that there is an actual reality to it. But when you can blur that line, is this real? Is this story? And you kind of suspend that disbelief for those few moments, it really, really grabs your attention at the very least and gets you more interested in what is being told, what is being shown. And it's, I don't want to know every creepy stalker detail, but if it's something that's going to lend to the story, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree. So, Mike, for you?
Yeah, I just got to concur on everything. It was just, it's got to be bringing the reality in. I'm a big fan of that. Like, especially when they're doing the social media, for lack of a better term, the kayfabe, social media fame, and keeping the story, keeping their characters going a little bit. MJF's a master at it.
McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre is. I mean, CM Punk is a master anytime he's got his fingers on a keyboard or a microphone in his hand. Even Becky Lynch, she's better on social media than selling, so that's for sure. And yeah,
Too soon.
Just the man, when they do that, when they keep it going, it keeps it going for us, Like I said, we always do the story about when I was at Sirius there in the fishbowl, and Drew came in and totally went off script of what they had even planned to talk with him about, and that angry man walked past me and my wife, and Mrs. Mongrovian Drake she's not into wrestling, and she uses the F word with wrestling, fake, and yeah. And,
Language, sir.
Drew, let me tell you, kid, Drew worked Mrs. Mongrovian.
Really?
She said, "What the heck is wrong with the guy?" I said, I don't know, man, but I'm glad he walked right past me. I said, usually when a wrestler walks past, no matter who they are, I'll put my fist out for a fist bump. Either they give me the finger or they fist bump, whatever. But him, I was like, no, I was afraid he was going to rip my arm off and beat me.
Yeah.
But he worked her, so, and that's what we love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what, Drake, where do you land when it comes to reality in wrestling?
Yeah, so I've been loving LFG. I love the whole season 1. I think it gives a good perspective, like kind of pulling the curtain back on how it works and how getting into the business works and getting into the WWE works. So I've liked that. At some points, it's a little too much. I feel like pulling it back a little bit too much. I'm a little afraid about this new Netflix show this summer, Unreal. I'm afraid of how much it's gonna pull the curtain back. But I think just the right amount is okay. I think stuff on social media, like Jey Uso, he posts on his Instagram story, he works out with Braun Breaker, and they had a match on Monday. I think something like that is fine, but when it's a little too far, I think it's a little too far. But yeah, I think enough is good.
So you're okay if you understand that people are friends, but the story's
Yeah.
made better if they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
it.
can I mention Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but
Why are you talking about old Ring of Honor, Kevin Steen, and El Generico? Why?
I think, especially with them two, I feel like when this past rivalry, especially, I feel like I start to believe that they really hate each other with one, what they say, and two, like what they were doing to each other in that ring. Because I think they can tell such a great story with especially each other that I think it makes me like want to believe that they really hate each other, like Rollins and Punk.
And Drake, if you go back into history and you go back to the ROH archives all the way back to the beginning, they've told this story over and over again, and it mesmerizes people over and over again. They may have different names, different paths on the story, but it always winds up the same way. KO can't be trusted. I don't know who you can trust less, KO or Randy Orton. I don't know.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always hear Sam Roberts talk about, one of the 3 rules of Not Sam Wrestling is everything counts, right? And by that we mean every little bit of content counts. So you mentioned the new series that's coming up in the writer's room. I think it's called Unreal, right?
Yep.
So Paul Heyman said in a recent interview, I don't like the idea, but if they're going to do it, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use that layer of storytelling where people think is real. I'm going to use that to tell additional stories. And I think someone like Paul Heyman understands that no matter what they do, he'll make it work for him. So Drake, for you, in an everything counts world, do you pay attention to when people are telling stories? Do you pay attention to all of it or just what you see on TV? But I mean, like social media, YouTube, all that stuff.
So if there's like, are you talking about like if they do like a bid on social media, like that plays into the story?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, I pay attention to everything. Yeah, like I usually after all the shows, usually a couple hours after, uh, like they'll post some stuff on social media, and some of the time it'll just be like a regular interview, and but then some of the time, like the other like a week ago, Julia and Roxanne had like a little falling out, and it was only on social media. But I ended up watching that and I saw it. And so, yeah, I really like when they take the story into social media, especially with some people like Drew McIntyre, like you guys were saying, who will throw like jabs on social media or like make jokes or something, but make it seem like really personal. Um, I like when they take it to social media, and yeah.
Who's your favorite person to check out on social media? Who's your favorite superstar?
Okay, so on social media, okay. Ooh,
I
that's
mean,
a tough
with
one.
wrestling, like who do you have to see? Like when you see stuff happening on on the show, who do you have to keep tabs with? Like, oh my God, what are they gonna say? Now on X or whatever.
Probably so Drew McIntyre and Chelsea Green definitely are two great ones. When he was still wrestling, obviously not anymore, but Kevin Owens, when he was wrestling, he was great on social media. And so I would look for him a lot and what's the next thing he's gonna say. But yeah, I really like seeing like Grayson Waller's a great example too
He's so,
like some
isn't
of
he?
the stuff, yeah, some of the stuff he does on social media, like walking the streets of whatever town they're in and making fun of it and making fun of the people. I think he does some hilarious stuff. So yeah, I like watching social media and seeing what the wrestlers do.
Yeah, he's so good. You just named probably like all of our favorites to
Yeah.
and yeah, very good, very good. I told he very astute. We're all very impressed with you.
Thank you.
And it's amazing that front row. Am I wrong or right or wrong here? We needed an actual 13-year-old on our show to make us all act like adults.
We're getting close.
How ironic is that?
It's a fair point, actually.
Yes.
The last time that happened was when we had Izzy on the show, but it's been a minute.
Well, yeah.
Yep. I was just gonna say a while ago.
Yeah, with Izzy, we're scared of not her dad. We're scared of her mom. Her mom will mess us up.
That part.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, in a completely unrelated, we have a guest coming up in June.
Nice. Well, Drake, speaking of Izzy, I was kind of mentioning, and we all kind of think like Izzy grew up with us as part of the Busted Open Nation and everything, and
Yeah.
now she didn't get kicked out of the nest. She jumped out of the nest, and now she's she's on her way to superstardom. But
Yeah.
you're taking the place of, like, we feel like you're the Busted Open Nation child, even though you're not a child. You're very mature and you're very cool. But we're excited to watch you grow up in the Busted Open Nation and also be part of this crew. And everybody, and you've met people outside of our crew, even everyone in that listens to Busted Open and follows them. They're just so cool for the most part, And
Yeah.
when you meet them in person, they're all very nice people, except for this guy named Chad. Don't stay away from this guy named Chad from all of it. But
Just stay away from guys named Chad in general.
Yeah. But otherwise, it's been a pleasure, just picking your mind and finding out how you feel about certain things going on in wrestling. Back to you, Fromo. Thanks.
Well, what Mike's trying to say is that we're all going to die soon, and we're resting our hopes and dreams on you. So good luck.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we need
Drake, you got to
somebody
carry
to
the
cheer
baton.
for,
Yes.
Well,
Good
that's
luck,
what.
Trump. We're all counting on you.
Yeah, on Busted Open a couple weeks ago, that's what Dave was like. When me and Uncle Bully and everybody dies, I gotta carry on the holy shit chants. So if that's what I gotta do, that's what I gotta do.
There you go. Hey,
There you go.
We were gonna get a holy shit chant going for you. So in honor of Drake, holy shit. Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!
Oh, now I have to go back and censor it. Hang on.
Yeah.
Get that beef ready, front row.
We'll fix
Get
it.
that beef ready.
Sorry, Mom, Dad, Grandma, aunts and uncles, Grandpa. Sorry.
My bad.
I was gonna say earlier, Drake, your opinion on WWE Unreal. How many 13-year-olds do you know that have an opinion about keeping wrestling on screen and not going behind the curtain too much? How many 13-year-olds do you know have an opinion? I don't know many. Drake,
Yeah.
you're
I know
amazing.
one. Him. He's on my screen right now.
Yeah, he's on my screen. So Drake, you're you blow my mind, dude. You're smart for your age, and you have great opinions, man. And just keep on keeping on, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
So there's so much stuff to cover. We had SmackDown last night. We had NXT tomorrow night. Saturday main event. We have Double or Nothings tomorrow.
Yeah.
TNA was last night. So let's jump over to AEW. So I know there's always a lot of chatter about AEW. Everybody seems to understand. Every fan seems to know how to run $1 million business, and that's not true, by the way. They don't. As someone who owns a wrestling company, it's not easy. So I wanted to get your thoughts on AEW as a whole, because I feel like they're on a big upswing right now from a storytelling and pacing perspective.
Definitely. Yeah, I've loved AEW for the past few weeks. One of the big things, and I know I've said this a few times now, but like being at the show live in person does a lot for me, and how the crowd is in person, how the shows are. And so I was at Revolution in March, and it was great. It was a great show. I think the only thing and I think most everybody will agree with this, is the Death Riders isn't working at all. But I think most everything else on the show on AEW right now, I've been really liking. Like Ospreay and Hangman, I've had the build to their match tomorrow. I've liked that, and you see, I don't really have that many problems with what AEW is doing right now, except for obviously the Death Riders. But yeah, I feel like AEW and Tony Khan have especially stepped it up with a storytelling perspective, because they've always had great matches for years. It seems like since the start, it's been like great match. Like Sheamus says, banger after banger after banger. But I think they're really starting to step it up with the storytelling perspective, with like MJF and the Hurt Syndicate now. So yeah, I've really liked AEW recently.
Did they pull you in with the promo between Hangman and Will Ospreay? How did you like that promo?
Yeah, so I liked it. Usually when it's like face-to-face promos, I like some cutoffs and some tension. But I think the way that they went about like the wants and needs, like LaGreca has been saying it a bunch on Busted Open lately, it's the want versus the need. Will Ospreay's wants versus Hangman's needs. And so I really liked how that promo went about on Wednesday. And so yeah, it got me pretty excited for the match tomorrow.
Yeah, Hangman's really been since he set Swerve's house on fire, did that killer promo.
That's a felony, by the way.
That and coming on, that was he's been slowly but surely, growing on. So he wasn't just like, oh, I'm a cowboy. He walks out, whatever, all mad. He really, they're showing a layer of it. Like, why is he so mad now? You know what I mean? So it's really cool.
Drake,
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Drake, were you aware of Will Ospreay before he came to AEW?
I wasn't like watching a bunch of his stuff, but I had knew who he was. I had seen he cut a promo. It was, I think, like a press conference with Kenny Omega. And he cut that promo, and that I was like, "Ooh, he's the real deal. I think he might be good somewhere." And then his signing got announced at Full Gear 2023 in LA, where, well, once again, I happened to be there, and so that was my first like real like getting to see Will Ospreay. I was like, wow, I think he's gonna be pretty good. And so he's showed out so far in AEW, in my opinion. I think some of the opinions that he has online, like when he said AEW is better than WWE at everything in the game, I don't know about that, but I think his wrestling and now his promos too. I've really liked Will Ospreay. He is my favorite in AEW right now. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's interesting because I wanted to get John's take on this just real quick, because John has been a fan of New Japan for a long time, and there's a few people in our group that watch it more regularly. And I think we all had this sort of opinion that Will Ospreay is an amazing wrestler, but he was just an okay promo. And so, John, you could speak more to this than I can, but like the evolution of him in AEW has been amazing.
Oh, it's been leaps and bounds, character development and promo growth. And I don't want to say that this is sudden, or he was not capable of it until he got to AEW. But New Japan, especially when it comes to their promos, are very formulaic, so to speak. Everybody kind of cuts the same good guy and or bad guy promo in New Japan. But to see where Ospreay was from New Japan to now, it's a completely different guy. We have a complete 360-degree view of Will Ospreay now, and continuing to get better. The crowd hangs on his every word, and they are fully engaged. You never hear a "what's" chant for Will Ospreay's promos, and that's and in this day and age, that's a very good barometer to know if you're connecting with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's been connected since he started making those Instagram videos, cutting promos on Niagara Falls. He's like, the wife wants me to come here. It's just a waterfall, bro. And but you're right. Front row. Remember, we were in Baltimore a few years back, and I was online meeting. We were online meeting somebody, and right next to it was the table. Will sitting there with the New Japan title, and no one online. There one person, two people. And now it's like, wow. Now the regret to not meet him. But
I met him. Picture.
I met him.
You did. You did.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
I always question the pairing that day, because you had Will Ospreay, New Japan champion, next to MDK all effing day, Nick Gage. To me was like,
that's who got my money.
Here goes $100 of my money real quick at this table. But
I have the pizza cutter signed. Yes,
I do too.
How about yesterday on Busted Open, Will filling the holes in the story of the Death Riders and Mox having the championship in the briefcase. Bully asked him a question, and Will just took it and in 20 seconds explained what we've all been kind of wondering about this whole, why is the championship in the briefcase? Why is it stuck away? Why aren't we seeing it? And Will, all it took him was 20 seconds to just fill that void in that story. That was amazing. That's the kind of person Will Ospreay's become. And that's the person that I see it's going to be the face of AEW at some point, if not at all in.
Just one quick point, Tony. So you're saying that we all understand a thick thick British accent over some Ohio mumbling. Is that what you're saying?
Well, he is from Ohio, so that kind of handicaps you.
Sorry, Ohio. But
I'm not.
in other words, yeah, we understand Will more than whatever John Moxley is saying. I don't, I still don't get it, but I understand.
So,
I agree.
So while we still have a couple minutes, Drake, we talk about wrestling's all about characters and stories. The moves, the matches, all that stuff are great. Those are so much fun, but what really draws us to our emotions are the characters and stories. And someone that we're all a fan of, and I wanted to get your take on, is Timeless Tony Storm.
Timeless!
Timeless!
So good. I obviously you're digging what's going on.
Yeah. So I really like Toni Storm, and I think it's really fun what she's been doing, especially when like playing the act of like rocker Toni Storm when she came back and acted like a newcomer and was like so happy to be there, and then that one promo on Collision at Daly's Place, I think it was perfect storytelling having it at Daly's Place where it all began for AEW and everything. And I think she's been doing great. And I also think that it's something that WWE could have used her as like such a good storyteller, such a good character worker too, that she's become like one of the best in AEW, I think. And so I've loved what she's done. The stuff with Mariah May was great. And so yeah, and now she's facing Mina Shirakawa. So yeah, I'm really excited, and possibly Mercedes Moné probably at All In. So I'm really excited for. I would assume that Mercedes is gonna win. So I'm really excited if that happens for like the two worlds of AEW to finally meet with the TBS Championship and the AEW Women's Championship at All In, the biggest show. So yeah, I'm excited.
So you mentioned Mariah May. Mariah May is rumored to maybe have her contract be coming up sooner rather than later. Do you think with the current leadership in WWE that she would do well there?
I do. I really do. And I think, like, as an example, like, the WWE women's roster is stacked right now, especially with the girls from NXT being called up. And I think she would just add. And I don't know if there's a specific place for her right now, but I definitely think through the summer and what's going on, like what could happen this summer with possibly the big three and Jade, Naomi, and Bianca, and all the stories. I think some stories start to wrap up around SummerSlam time, which I think could be the perfect time to insert Mariah May in, build some new stories, and I think she would fit right in with the WWE.
Yeah, I would agree. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
She's got a character. People, gravitate to her on AEW screen. Her promos are amazing. Her vignettes are amazing. Stuff she did back in Stardom. You even saw it back then. She just had a bit of a character, so it would just fit right in the WWE. I agree with Drake, around SummerSlam possibly, or maybe even the Rumble, bring her in at the Rumble. But I don't know if she's someone that you could bring in the Rumble and her get a pop like people know who she is. But, neither here nor there. I mean, she would definitely, I think she would definitely fit in WWE.
She's got a mean streak.
Yeah, her and Harley Cameron, who's doing some of the most amazing work right now. She's wildly talented. Drake, we could talk to you for hours, man, but I know there's a Saturday Night Main Event starting in just a few minutes. I'm sure we all want to get snacks and drinks and all that stuff. I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. I know it's a Saturday, and it's a big ask to give up part of your Saturday for us, so we want to thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I always love talking wrestling to especially the Busted Open Nation. And I see you, Mongrovian Mike. I got the Let Us In shirt. The
I
white
saw your shirt. That's
turn.
why I'm flashing it. I'm flashing it.
So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I was really excited, and it definitely really well. I think it worked out tonight.
Yeah, and your open door policy, man. Anytime you want to come talk some wrestling, just hit us up. Have your mom send me a note, whatever. We'll smoke signals. I don't care. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And pop
Carrier
in the chat.
pigeons still
Pop
works.
in the chat.
Yeah. So where I know you post a lot of content through your mom's X account, through social media account. Let people know where they can go see that stuff.
So it's Michelle Mack 417, I think, on I'm pretty sure it's Michelle Mack 417 on X, on Twitter. And then on Instagram I have my own account at Drake Los Angeles or Drake LA. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And
Uh-oh.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
yeah, thank you guys.
We'd be
Awesome.
here for the rest of the evening if Elder if Mongrovian starts bringing out all his stuff.
All his
All right,
stuff.
here we go. I got mine too.
Okay. Nice.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, man.
I got the Rock in a pink robe.
No.
Who that man? Who him loudly?
Oh,
Rocky
man.
sucks. Rocky sucks. Rocky sucks.
Jake, you see this?
Yup,
The
LaGreca
Busted
and
Open,
Uncle Bully.
the Motley Crew. Get the tables, Uncle Bully, Bully Ray 3D, and Uncle Dave's scribble that is very, like, you can't read it. Busted Open 09. I haven't met you, or I'm going to find out how to get this to you through Scott, because I know he sent you all that stuff. This is signed by them from the show.
Wow, thank you.
It's a one of a kind, and it's yours, brother.
Wow, that means a
You
lot.
are such an awesome Busted Open ambassador of the nation, and you're an official member of the crew as well. And we spell it just like Motley Crue spells it: CRU with an umlaut E.
Nice.
Reeds and umlaut.
Wow.
Thanks.
Big
Thank you
word.
so much,
I don't know
Yeah.
what umlaut means.
I got
but
the
I
big
still
brain
think
on
so.
Mongrovian.
He's been full of big words tonight.
Go ahead, Jay.
I
Go
know.
ahead, Frank. What were you gonna say, Frank?
Thank you guys for just treating me so well, and like I'm real family now. Like I'm a part of the crew. So yeah, thank you guys.
Well, Uncle
You are.
Mongrovian has a saying about kids, but I've never said it about you, and I will never utter it about you. We support you, and all of your endeavors, not your future endeavors, all of your endeavors in the Busted Open Nation. We love you, kid. Back to you, front row. Thanks.
Yes. Tony, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me right here at Tony Justice AJFA on Twitter and Instagram. And before I go to my normal thing, Drake, do you like Metallica?
I've heard a few songs. I've heard a few songs.
Well,
Good
you
enough.
need to do a deep dive not only on wrestling but Metallica, because then if you like Metallica like all of us, the majority of us do, you know what that means. Ooh.
If you want to check it out, look up Metallica Lulu. You'll
No.
We don't talk about that in public, sir.
No.
We do not talk about that in public. Yes, hide your screen.
Terrible album.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Mike, where can people find you on the socials?
Mongrovian Mike. I'm there. Just look up Mongrovian Mike. Luckily, I might have to copyright that name soon. I don't know. With all the dozens, with the dozens.
And dozens.
And dozens.
No, thanks,
Shout out
man.
to Mick
Drake,
Foley.
it's been an honor, man. Really, you kept us in line, really. Because front row really has no control over us. So we control ourselves for you.
That's
We don't
actually
listen
very
to you
true.
for nothing.
That's true.
We love you, man.
John, where can people find you?
Just real quick at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram and the X. But more importantly, June 20th, Clearwater, Florida. Revolution Pro Wrestling presents presents Face Eater. Backing up the one American Kaiju, Lindsay Snow will be the most dangerous weapon in professional wrestling, the AK-9K, otherwise known as the 9000. His first actual professional booking. Very excited for him. First of many. Often imitated, but never quite duplicated. But looking forward to that next month in Florida.
Wait,
Nice.
are you saying Lindsay Snow is going to be armed or rather legged in the match?
With various other items, but yes.
Okay, just checking.
Not that she needs it, but
Nice. This is true. She's dangerous all on her own, but that won't hurt. Well, maybe
Yeah.
it will. All right, folks. You can reach us. You can find us on everything on the Nation's Corner on X at Nation's Corner only. IMPW Front Row across all the socials. Drake, thank you again. Everybody enjoy Saturday night's main event and all the cool stuff going on tomorrow. And we will see you all again next week. Later.
Happy Memorial.